Feed me now! I'm starving. Give me food! Don't make me ask again. Please give this video a like and subscribe!
This is HBR News number 545, Celebrity News Week, The Bachelorette, Afro-man, and more, where we discuss the news of the week and give it the Badger treatment. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Honey Badger Radio. I hope you guys are doing well this week and that you're laughing at all of the absurdity so that you are not consumed by it. I'm your host, Brian, and I'm joined by, as always, my lovely co-hosts, Hannah Wallen and Dr. Randomercam.
Hello.
There it is. I'm going to give you time to jump in there so I don't talk over you. We have a great show lined up. Lots of stuff was going on, but I found a couple of things that were pretty interesting that I wanted to bring up. And it just so happens that they're sort of like happening in the entertainment sphere, which is just like a happy coincidence because these are, you know, like sort of like high profile events that are related to men's issues that are worth discussing. So on this week's HBR News, we're going to be talking about the passing of a Titan, Afro-man's trial victory, probably one of the most hilarious trials ever, getting pummeled over politics and more, so stick around, it's going to be a good time. And be sure to join us afterwards for the patron-only show. So we have been going through this article from The Wrap called, Why is Paramount Hiring So Many Men with Troubled Pasts? Which is sort of like, I think it's important because it is like post-Me Too. You know, this is like people, the pigs have come home to roost. Is that the phrasing? The pigs in some cases literally, and we're feeling the effects of it. And so we're going to be talking about why Paramount and by extension Warner Brothers and Skydance are basically they're ready to bring back like the guys that got canceled back in 2017 for Me Too allegations because they want to make money now. So we're going to go through why this article from The Wrap is actually trying to poo-poo that and say, why are you guys bringing back like literal, I don't know, patriarchal oppressors and sexual assaulters and serial rapists and all of that. So, and it seems like that's falling on deaf ears. Those pleads are no longer being answered. And we're going to look at this article some more. We're getting into the specific people accused. I think we're starting this one with Johnny Depp. He has a whole section of the article where they're going to be talking about Johnny Depp and why I guess he doesn't deserve to work ever again and should probably just die alone and homeless in an alley somewhere where no one will miss him. So that's usually what they mean when they say they want to cancel people. That's usually what they mean. They don't want you to be redeemed. They don't want you to come back. They want you to go away forever and hopefully just die. So we're going to keep reading that. And if you want to join us for that, you have to become a Badger. Go to feedthebadger.com/subscribe to become a member. You'll be able to get into the Discord server and you'll be able to enjoy all the additional content like our patron shows. And of course, if you don't want to wake up one morning to find that we have been yeeted from the internet, go to badgerfeed.com or honeybadgerradio.com, which is where all of our content lives. Plus, our fundraiser is up and live, and if you want to support that, you can go to feedthebadger.com/subscribe, and if you want to send us a super chow, which is the absolute best way you can support and the easiest way, then go to feedthebadger.com/just-the-tip to put a little tip in there, and also a comment, which will not be put through YouTube's comment filtration system. So, now that I've said all of that, let us get into today's stories. So first, we have the passing of a Titan. Legendary martial artist, actor, and internet icon Chuck Norris passed away on March 19th, 2026, at the age of 86 following a sudden medical emergency in Hawaii. His family confirmed the news the following day via a heartfelt statement on social media describing his death as peaceful and noting that he was surrounded by loved ones. Known for his 6-time World Karate Championship, action films like The Delta Force and Missing in Action, and his long-running TV series Walker, Texas Ranger, Norris became a cultural tough guy symbol whose rugged persona inspired widespread adoration. In the wake of his passing, fans flooded social media with tributes laced with classic Chuck Norris facts memes that exaggerated his invincibility in humorous ways, keeping his legend alive even in death. Examples included Chuck Norris didn't die. Death just finally got permission from him. Death once had a near Chuck Norris experience, and Chuck Norris actually died 10 years ago. Death was just too afraid to tell him. Others joke that even in heaven, the boogeyman checks under his bed for Chuck Norris, or that he pushed the world down during push-ups. These timeless satirical tributes highlighted how the memes transformed him into an undefeated pop culture phenomenon beyond his on-screen heroics. So rest in peace, Chuck Norris. And now I really got to watch Delta Force and Missing in Action because I hear those are very good movies and I've never seen them. So
normally this is the point where I pull up some quotes from the erstwhile celebrity in question, but I figured this time it's far more appropriate if I just ask the internet for their best Chuck Norris jokes. So that's what I did, and I will proceed. Chuck Norris built the cabin he was born in, / built the hospital he was born in. That's a classic. Chuck Norris's tears cure cancer, but he has never cried. It only takes Chuck Norris 20 minutes to watch 60 Minutes. Chuck Norris is the only person who can slam a revolving door. Chuck Norris is the only man to ever defeat a brick wall in a game of tennis. God said, "Let there be light." Chuck Norris answered, "Ask politely first." Waldo is hiding because of Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris doesn't do push-ups. He pushes the world down. Yeah, you did that one. Chuck Norris once kicked a horse in the face. We now call those animals giraffes. Chuck Norris stands faster than anyone can run. Chuck Norris can build a snowman out of rain. Chuck Norris once won the World Poker Championship with a 2 of spades, 7 of diamonds, an Uno reverse card, and a Monopoly get out of jail free. Wait. Chuck Norris can play the violin with a piano. I don't even understand that one, but that's why it's so funny. Chuck Norris counted to infinity twice. Chuck Norris doesn't breathe. He holds air hostage. Chuck Norris has to sleep with the lights on because the dark is afraid of him. Clouds don't rain. They sweat when they see Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris beat the sun in a staring contest. Outer space exists because it's afraid to be in the same planet with Chuck Norris. And when Chuck Norris looks in a mirror, the mirror shatters because not even glass is dumb enough to get in between Chuck Norris and Chuck Norris. I mean, the man said some things and he made like movies and stuff. But to me, his greatest legacy is that he owns an entire genre of jokes. Not just memes. This shit dates back to before memes were even a thing. This man has a category of joke all to himself. History knows of no king, no emperor, no conqueror of worlds who can claim that kind of accolade. I mean, if I were to ever achieve that, it'd be by getting more intoxicated than anyone else in history. It'd be Dr. Random McCam gave alcohol a liver disease. That's the best I could possibly achieve. This man did it by being hard as nails, by just being a fucking badass. You will never be Chuck Norris, ladies and gentlemen. Or maybe you will. It's a hell of a high bar, but you can get there. That's how we got where we are today, by raising the bar and jumping over it. Let us raise a glass and a toast to Chuck Norris. This is, of course, not possible because you do not toast Chuck Norris. He eats you on toast.
Hannah?
Oh, that's probably almost all of what needs to be said, other than the fact that it is sad to say goodbye to one of the greats. You know, there aren't very many people who come out of Hollywood that you could say this person actually is a role model. He was one of them, and that makes this a sad goodbye.
Yeah.
But no matter what, you know, I mean, everybody has to go sometime, but we will always have the Chuck Norris jokes.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, like, to be, because Mike said all the jokes. I was gonna add that Chuck Norris killed a stone with two birds, but but um, no. The one thing though that's interesting is that I learned this later in life. Like, uh, the Chuck Norris jokes were a little bit tongue in cheek because they were kind of like trying to make fun of this kind of like hyper masculine archetype. There was a little bit of digging in that, but people forgot that that was what it was, and they just kind of rolled with it. And now we just kind of like admire that. And I think that I guess what I think about this is that he was for a movie star, and he was also a martial arts champion. But he was like famous for his films and stuff. He fought Bruce Lee and Return of the Dragon, I think it was, and
Yeah.
he was, I believe, uh, uh, he trained Benny the Jet Urquidez, who's a
Yeah,
very
he
well
was the
known
real
martial.
deal. He
Huh?
was he was the real deal. That's the thing. A lot
Yeah,
of
he
people
was. He
come out of
was he
Hollywood are
was the real
fakes,
deal. But like
and
he trained Benny
he,
the Jet.
you know,
Urquidez was also known for doing a film called Meals on Wheels, where he fights Jackie Chan. It's actually
yep,
one of the best Jackie Chan fight scenes ever. So he is the real deal. But like the other thing is that he was one of the last, like, let's say, masculine movie stars that wasn't like cartoonish. That was very grounded and down to earth. And he
yeah,
was a very humble guy too. A lot of times, if you're famous, you're like on the red carpet or you get approached by, you know, journalists, and they want to like create a kind of like antagonism or drama. They'll compare you to somebody else, right? You see
yeah,
this a lot on the red carpet these days, where there'll be a movie that's coming out, they'll be doing the red carpet for it, and there's always like this zesty like press guy that's like saying, "Oh, what do you think about so and so? What do you think about these people?" Not these days, it's like MAGA Republicans, right? There's like they just try to create like opportunities for movie stars to be antagonistic to somebody. And this used to be a big thing in the martial arts action movie genre, where they were trying to like stow like rivalries between people like Schwarzenegger and Stallone or whatever it was. And I remember Chuck Norris would get approached, and they would ask him what he thought about people like Jean-Claude Van Damme or Steven Seagal, and he was always very complimentary. He would never like dig on them. He would always be flattering and complimentary and be like, yeah, like he didn't take the bait like ever. And I think that that's like very respectable, and I think that's a very masculine thing too.
yeah,
So, and it
yeah. He
could have
was
been
an
really easy because
all-around
Steven
wholesome
Seagal is
kind of
fake as
guy.
fuck. It would have
Yeah,
been really easy, but
yeah. He could
but
have
he
been
didn't do
petty,
it.
but that wouldn't have been with his character was good, like
Yeah,
moral character, his as a person, not just the characters he played, but he was really like that. He had a really strong moral code. He
yeah.
was, like I said, an all around wholesome guy. And it's all the guys that I grew up with.
I think he like stayed with the same
As
woman
they,
his whole life too. Like he was
yeah,
like, you
but
know,
as they met up, later in life and adulthood and everything, even, he was still a role model.
hmm
Um, that's like I said, all around wholesome guy, and it's sad to lose this kind of a role model, especially for men.
that's what I'm. Yeah, that's what young men especially, right? Because
Right?
like
Women could take
in,
a lesson too, but
for
especially
sure,
for men.
for sure. Like in the chat over at Rumble, Miss Road 303 said, "What do we have now? Momoa, The Rock, nothing compared to Chuck." Yeah, a lot of the guys that make it, that become big now,
Yeah.
they're
Well,
they
even
they kind of have to, like, if it's in the movie business, you have to toe the
yeah,
line in terms of whatever the zeitgeist, the political zeitgeist of the film industry is. And a lot of the men who become sort of like marked for fame are the guys who
yeah.
do toe the line on that. But I don't know if it was because when Chuck was in Hollywood, it wasn't that way as much, or if he just
No, I
didn't
mean
care. Because I
he
think that
was
he
in
was like Kevin
Hollywood at the
Sorbo
same
type.
time
Like he
as
just didn't care, right? He has beliefs
I was gonna
and
say
he
he was
stuck to
in
them.
Hollywood at the same time as Charlie Sheen, right, and Richard Gere, and both of them have had issues, different directions. Richard Gere is like the wokest of the woke, and ended up like he went woke and stuck his neck out being woke right after 9/11. And Charlie Sheen, I think he did all the drugs in the world, and there's no one left for anybody else.
He's
So
got
you
tiger
had
blood, though,
guys,
Hannah.
you know, yeah. But you had guys in Hollywood that were like the hot guy that all the chicks were looking at and wanting to fantasize over and shit, that were definitely not good role models and definitely
Sure.
did not have good character or had major issues. And so it wasn't that Hollywood wasn't like that. I think it was that he worked hard not to be that way.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so yeah, it's another legend from my childhood has basically got
Yeah.
a new job as God's bodyguard. So rest in peace,
There we
Chuck
go.
Norris. So hopefully you'll get better benefits up there. So yeah, anyway, let me see what you guys are saying. We're gonna look at some super chats and then we're gonna move on to the next story. But yeah, so
You best
sad
have
to
some
see him
good
go.
Chuck Norris jokes down there.
Yeah, there's got to be
Idiot.
some Chuck Norris jokes in here. Albatross gave us a super chat for 5 and says, I wish Chuck Norris did a crossover with the Dos Equis most interesting man in the world guy. Yeah, that would have been great.
That
I
would've
remember
been
his
funny.
cameo in The Expendables was awesome. Zarangs gave us $5 and says, to go out on a high note like this, Chuck Norris has Jesus looking at God like Moses tapped the rock. The Chud King says, Chuck Norris does not pay taxes. He just sends the IRS his photo. Acrafea says, Chuck Norris didn't pass on the 19th. That's just when he walked to a hospital to save the ambulance the trip. Okay.
By the way, the Chud King points out, and it is important to mention, Charlie Sheen got an intervention and got himself cleaned up, and that is true. It's just
no, he did.
Chuck Norris didn't need
Charlie
that.
Sheen was never an action guy, though. He was a comedy guy.
Right,
He was
right.
very
Well,
funny.
it's not. I'm not comparing action guys. I'm
I
just
know.
comparing like the Hollywood
Heartthrob
elite.
type.
And right. Well, and the thing is, everybody in Hollywood was in Hollywood, no matter what kind of role they played, and
Right.
it is a testament to, because that's what Hollywood did to Charlie Sheen. His character was not strong enough, and clearly, Chuck Norris's character was every bit as strong as the legend that his jokes are created from.
Chuck Norris's calendar goes from March 31st directly to April 3rd because nobody fools Chuck Norris. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it for you guys can keep sending through Chuck Norris jokes and I'll stop and look at them as we go through the news show because I appreciate them. Let's not let his memory vanish, They say you die 2 deaths, like the physical one, and then the second time is the last time somebody utters your name. So
or when
those
Chuck
people
Norris
alive.
kills you, you die twice.
Yeah. True. All right. Shadowwolf says, I left a few Discord servers because they were celebrating his death. Yeah, I saw that. I know. There are definitely wokies that were like, oh, he was a homophobe and all this. It's like, I don't care, man.
That's because he wasn't woke. So they
he just wasn't woke. That's it. Yeah. He didn't toe the line, as far as I know.
He didn't go around like hating on anybody. And he didn't go around trying to like tell everybody how to think either. And I think that was a big part of why they hated him. They didn't have anything on him. They couldn't accuse him of being domineering. There wasn't anything. He just wasn't on their side.
Yep. All right. Well, let us know what you guys think about this one in the comments. And remember to send in those super chats if you can. We're going to move on to the next story. All right. Let's talk about Afro-man. Because it's hilarious. So the recent trial involving rapper Afro-man, Joseph Foreman, stemmed from a 2022 no-knock raid on his Ohio home by Adams County Sheriff's deputies, who were investigating unfounded claims of drug trafficking and kidnapping. No charges were ever filed. In response, Afro-man used his home security footage in viral music videos like Lemon Pound Cake and others, where he mocked the officers with explicit satirical lyrics and imagery, turning the incident into artistic commentary on the raid's destructiveness and overreach. In March of 2026, 7 deputies sued Afro-man in a civil defamation and invasion of privacy lawsuit, seeking nearly $4 million in damages for alleged emotional distress, reputational harm, and humiliation from the videos and related social media posts. After a brief 3-day trial that highlighted First Amendment protections for artistic expression and public criticism of officials, an Ohio jury deliberated for about 6 hours and ruled unanimously in Afro-man's favor on all counts on March 18th, 2026, finding no liability for defamation or related claims. Afro-man celebrated the verdict outside of his courthouse, shouting, "We did it, America! Freedom of speech." So,
let this be a lesson to Black America in general. If you want to fuck the cops over, this is how you do it. Don't get all belligerent. Don't get all "I didn't do nothing" and resisting arrest before you've even been arrested. And really, don't like lunge at them with a knife. That's a big old no-no. You're gonna have a bad time if you do that, especially now that they all have body cams. Boy, howdy, did that shit backfire. And that's very much the point. If you're actually innocent and you actually want to fuck the police, get your very own body cam. Get a camera in every room in your house like Afro-man did. Because as it transpires, there's nothing illegal about filming in public and there's nothing illegal about filming in your own house. And that's how you do it. By all means, inform the officers that you're filming everything, or don't. But as long as you're filming everything, you can go ahead and remain calm. Because if you're doing nothing wrong, the camera will not record you doing anything wrong. Like we in the men's rights movement have always concisely said, ABR, always be recording. In any environment in which that is an option, it serves only to exonerate you if you are innocent, but conversely, it will incriminate you if you are guilty. They say the gun is the great equalizer. They say if God made man, Sam Colt made man equal. But nay, I say to you, if anyone made man equal, it was whoever invented the camera, Louis Daguerre, perhaps, or perhaps not. It was a complicated process of discovery. Nevertheless, just like the pen is mightier than the sword, the camera is mightier than the gun. And we don't have all that much time left before the great equalizer of the camera is made redundant by the corrupting force of AI. Soon your camera footage will be rendered inadmissible in courts because even that can be fabricated by a machine. And at that point, there'll be nothing left that is admissible in court, except like Polaroid photographs, which are already redundant because nobody even has a Polaroid camera anymore. So, yeah, make the most of this contemporary niche in history where you can still use cameras as indisputable truth machines. Your grandchildren may not have this luxury, in much the same way your grandparents didn't anticipate a world in which their grandchildren didn't have the luxury of guns, at least over here in Europe. Use them while you still can. Those of you who can still use them, use your cameras, defend your legacy, and thereby set up your grandchildren for a peaceful life where they don't have to use them. I say this as someone who uses cameras for a living. Indeed, it is right there in my name, Dr. Random McCam. Mountain News, Honey Badger Radio. Make use of your radio too, if that shit can even do anything anymore. I wish I could have come up with a more humorous response to this because it's so fucking humorous a story. But I felt like making a ham-fisted fucking point instead. Yeah, good on you, Joseph, for showing the way.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the best things to happen in a long time in the court system, simply because of how egregious this case was to begin with. It wasn't just the lawsuit. They didn't have a reason for the warrant when they initially went into this man's house. It was an injustice from moment one. They illegally obtained a warrant with false information, if I remember right. And then they went into the house, and when it was even when it was obvious that there were no kidnapping victims in the house, they searched areas that they really didn't need to search in order to prove that, like the pocket of his suit. They confiscated money, and then they kept part of it, at least according to their records. They didn't give part of it back to him. So you had this whole travesty clear up to the songs, and of course they did a lot of damage when searching his home, and used qualified immunity as their excuse why we don't have to, why we don't have to pay for this. We have qualified immunity to keep taxpayer dollars from being spent rectifying these errors on our part. And there have been numerous people across the country that have experienced this, not just in Ohio, not just in some little podunk town where maybe the cops don't know what they're doing. No, this happens in big cities. This happens in highly populated areas, densely populated areas within the cities. It happens out in the country. It happens in the states that are more known for having a lot of police action in their states. It happens in Chicago and LA, New York. There have been instances where they have entered the wrong home because the address numbers weren't posted, and trashed somebody's house, utterly destroying it, making it unlivable, and then turned around and said, well, we have qualified immunity. Sorry, our bad, you're homeless now. So it is really good to see somebody, get a little of their own back, and then turn around and be able to thumb their nose at the cops when they try to sue. No, sorry, you don't have a expectation of privacy in someone else's home, especially not from that someone else. It's just not a real thing, and so there's no violation of privacy there. And no, you can't stop someone from parodying you and making fun of you, and you can't stop someone from exposing you if you've done something wrong. Better that they do get exposed for it. Of all the people that should be accountable when they do something wrong, it's the people whose job it is to hold other people accountable when they do something wrong. Their level of accountability should be higher, not lower. If I went into somebody's house and I wrecked it, I would be liable, even if I had a good reason for being there. Even if I had a legal reason for being there, it wouldn't matter. And it shouldn't when they do it either, especially when their reason for being there is wrong. And it honestly, it's just another nail in the coffin of qualified immunity. I think if the public ever got an opportunity to have a referendum vote, at least in Ohio, on whether qualified immunity stays as it is, gets eliminated, or becomes extremely limited, they would go for limiting it or eliminating it, because the way it is now, it really does allow wrongdoing by city officials, by police, and by actually a lot of other professions as well that have certain instances where they have qualified immunity because of their obligations. It really should be limited to due diligence at the very least. If you were not exercising due diligence, you should not have qualified immunity for your actions. If you didn't double check and make sure that you were acting within the law, you should not have qualified immunity within your actions if you've acted outside of the law. If you went into the wrong house, you shouldn't have qualified immunity just because, well, I made a mistake. And if you lie to a judge to get a warrant or to enter somebody's house, a no-knock warrant to enter somebody's house, you shouldn't get qualified immunity if it turns out that the information you gave the judge to get that warrant was incorrect, and the warrant should never have been given. That should eliminate that qualified immunity. And the next best thing is what he did. If they don't want to be humiliated, maybe they should support qualified immunity reform. The rest of us, I think the rest of us really do. This isn't even the first instance in Ohio. We had Miamisburg that we talked about a while ago. I think it was Miamisburg. Or no, Miami County. Sorry. There's a Miamisburg and a Miami County rather near to me. But that had no insurance for their wrongdoing, no insurance coverage for their wrongdoing. They had somebody imprisoned for years and years, wrongly imprisoned for years and years, got a judgment, and was sued, or rather appealed, on the basis that they didn't have any insurance and it was going to bankrupt them. And well, sorry, but you should have that insurance, and you can't have qualified immunity for wrongdoing. And unfortunately, all too often they do. So, like I said, I hope that this encourages more people to get active at writing their legislators, getting their local legislators involved to get on that, and to reform the concept of qualified immunity or eliminate it altogether, so that when the police are the ones being unaccountable, they can be held accountable. But I am glad he won his case.
So which case was funnier to watch? Was it this one or the Amber Heard Johnny Depp one?
Oh,
Which
God,
one has
that's
more
hard.
moments
That is
in
so
it?
hard to do.
Is there footage of the court case for Afro-Man?
Oh yeah, it's on.
There's like they watch the music videos he made. It's hilarious. Like
and link me to that shit. I want to see that in its entirety.
We'll have to find it. I don't know what the best version is, but there's lots of clips floating around.
I'll
They literally, because one of the cops was up on the stand saying, "Oh, he made a song about how he had sex with my wife," and he's like, and he's like, "But did he actually have sex with your wife?" And he was like, "No, but he might." Like it's, like it might. And I'm like, this is so ridiculous. It's pretty hilarious.
Even if he had, it wouldn't have mattered. There's no law against that.
No. I mean, it's adultery, and she's probably got some, she's got a lot of explaining to do, Lucy. But
if cuckoldry was illegal, then that would solve a lot of our problems.
Ex-wife testified against him in that case.
Well,
it was great.
I think because the Amber Heard Johnny Depp one was longer, there's probably more gold in that particular mine, but it's up there. It's up there,
Amber Heard did what Amber Heard did, and that made her very meme-worthy. And in a lot of ways, Afro-Man is a walking meme. You have not seen the awesome suit that he wore. Like the man has style.
Yeah. All right, let me see if there's any super chats or super chows. No, nothing for this one. Nothing for Afro-Man, guys. All right, well, you can still send us messages. I think I did see another Chuck Norris joke.
Yeah. Or just if nothing else, I don't know if there's a pot leaf emoji, but if there is, throw them up in the chat.
Oh, Epstein is on the Chuck Norris list. Somebody said.
Yeah. If Epstein is dead, he's gonna be immortal now because he's afraid to die. Chuck Norris will get him.
Did you guys see there was this guy who I forget what his name was, but he's like some guy in Florida. It's like Palm Beach something, and he had to make a video explaining that he is not Jeffrey Epstein, but he looked just like him, but he didn't sound like him. Like it was like the same face, but when he opened his mouth, it was like some squeaky, like high pitched voice. And his name was like Palm Beach Paul is what his name was.
It's a good thing we finally found it out what Jeffrey Epstein sounded like in that interview with Steve.
Yeah.
Finally released like a few months ago. Like we were all talking about Jeffrey Epstein for fucking 5 years, but
nobody knew what he sounded like.
Voice.
I was expecting it to be like Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget, but it wasn't. I was disappointed. Just some Jew voice. But anyway, member message. You got a member message? Wait. I don't see anything. Wait,
How
hold
did
on,
you
hold on,
hold
hold
the
on.
pen?
Yeah, it's
Is
reported that the
some-
judge is having Afro-Man pay half the court costs, about $293. Well, you know, that's not
Yeah,
that
that's an
bad, considering
injustice,
what they
but
were
he will
coming at
make
him
it.
for.
Yeah, it's an injustice, but he'll make it back with a song.
He's happy that it went through the way it did. And again, you know, to sort of comment on Mike's comment, this is how you deal with this stuff. You know, if you think you have been wronged by the police, then there's proper ways to do it, and he did it that way. And also to the police, because I think there are some pretty like staunch anti-cop people in our chat. They didn't do what a lot of those people would have assumed too. They could have just planted some drugs on him and killed him, but they didn't do that. They went through the process too, and yeah, they were wrong, and that's how things are supposed to go. So guess what? Like it worked out, and we should just be grateful of that. Anyway,
Well, we should still all be writing to our legislators about the wrongness of the qualified immunity system, and that it does need reform. That wrongdoing, like deliberate wrongdoing and deliberate carelessness, should not be covered under that immunity.
And even in the event that you are caught with weed, it's just fucking weed. Can we fucking get over this at any point? I mean, even Afro-Man wasn't caught with any weed.
Ohio legalized weed after that.
I was surprised by that.
It's in our state constitution that weed is legal now. So if I remember right, but we get it right sometimes. We unfortunately also constitutionalized legal abortion, but Ohio's a different place. They did that, and over weed, and in the claim that he was allegedly kidnapped somebody, but it was, again, from the footage you could tell it was pretty obvious pretty quickly that there was not a kidnapping victim in that house.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as soon as you know that there's a mistake, like, you really should stop and reconsider. Maybe contact a supervisor. Should we continue messing around in here? But they didn't do that. They started going through everything he owned.
Yep.
Like, looking for kidnapping victims in the pocket of his suit and his dresser drawers and shit.
Well, let me know what you guys think about this one in the comments. It's time to move on to
I know where he hit her.
Story.
She was in the lemon pound cake.
All right, so in news that that basically demonstrates that women can also be violent, ABC has abruptly canceled their next upcoming season of The Bachelorette, starring Taylor Frankie Paul, just 3 days before its scheduled premiere on March 22nd. So it would have premiered a couple days ago. The decision came on March 19th, hours after TMZ published a 2023 video showing Paul in a violent physical altercation with an ex-partner, Dakota Mortensen. In the footage, Paul is seen yelling and allegedly striking Mortensen while their young child is reportedly present and struck during the incident. I have a clip, so I'm going to play the clip. A Disney Entertainment spokesperson stated, quote, "In light of the newly released video just surfaced today, we have made the decision to not move forward with a new season of The Bachelorette at this time, and our focus is on supporting the family," end quote. Taylor Frankie Paul, known from The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, had already filmed the season, which wrapped in December, and was actively promoting it. The cancellation follows ongoing domestic violence allegations between Paul and Mortensen, a Utah police investigation, court-ordered psychological evaluations for both, and a temporary protective order. Production on her other reality show has also been paused. ABC and producers reportedly had no prior knowledge of the video before its public release. No plans have been announced for airing the filmed season or selecting a replacement lead. The swift pushback marks an unprecedented move for the long-running franchise and has sparked significant online discussion, with many viewing it as just damage control amid serious abuse claims. Yes, it does. So let's look at the clip. This is from X. User Fearbuck. ABC has canceled The Bachelorette after her lead was seen in a leaked footage physically attacking her ex-boyfriend. and throwing metal chairs at him while her child was present, and reportedly the child was struck during the altercation.
This is called physical abuse. Yeah. Yeah. See, Taylor, this is all you do. It's the only thing you know how to do. Holy shit.
I don't give a
Let me go. Stop. Dude, leave me alone. Oh my.
Yep.
Your daughter is right here. Oh my gosh. Oh my. You are.
So
It goes on, doesn't it?
that's the end of that clip. It may. I don't know.
It's
Yeah,
enough.
Have you
geez.
seen more of that?
I feel like it went on and on. Maybe it was only in my memory that it went on and on. But yeah, I can only reiterate what I said in the previous story. If the incident wasn't caught on camera, no one would believe it. Certainly the police wouldn't believe it. And like I said, we're rapidly approaching the point in history where the police won't believe it, even if there is video footage. But you can bet your ass they'll still believe the testimony of a woman crying victim, even with no evidence whatsoever. In that sense, it's kind of an emergency. If we can't unfuck the misandric gynocentrism of the government and the police they control and the media they control as soon as possible, then we're going to get locked into it by the machine gods being created to lock into it. We could very well see a future where women all over the world are just throwing chairs and tables at men, throwing everything up to and including the kitchen sink. And if any of this is reported to the police, video footage or no video footage, then the police will just consult their AI sergeant, and it'll be like, this does not happen. According to our databases, domestic violence is mostly committed by men. Do you see? Therefore, you should treat this this incident as male on female violence, and you should arrest the man. I mean, that's what's already happening, pretty much, except it's at the command of a different kind of artificial intelligence, namely the lesbian feminist leftist NPC sergeant who's been DEI'd into this role by the lesbian feminist leftist NPCs in charge of the government. Police officers don't make their own decisions. They defer to the Duluth model. And once they're beholden to AI overlords who also defer to the Duluth model, that's it. There will be no more developments. The Duluth model will be set in stone forever. Even if a police officer sees with their own eyes a woman throwing fucking high explosives at an innocent man, they will simply consult their chat GPT training manual, and it will be, and it will politely inform them that their eyes are mistaken and that the man is in fact the aggressor. So yeah, again, I can only reiterate what I already said. Time is short. This gynocentrism is already set in the stone of the human heart, but soon it will be set in the stone of the artificial heart. At that point, we will truly be under the thumb of the NPC singularity and whatever insanity with which it has been programmed. Ted Kaczynski, ladies and gentlemen, was and I'm afraid that is a sentence I'm not at liberty to complete. You know, it's 16 years ago, I made a video that happened to feature Uncle Ted's face, albeit only for like 3 seconds. But about a month ago, I got a notification from YouTube saying this video has been flagged for terrorist content. You can resolve this by blurring the image. So I did. And I mean, way to prove Ted's point.
Yeah, well,
or at least exemplify it. Make no mistake, he will be the first person to be erased from history by our technocratic Skynet overlord. Apologies in advance if this stream gets taken down, just because I even talked about this. Much like I don't necessarily blame Jews for the race wars, or Muslims for the religious wars, or even women for the gender wars. I don't blame the technology for the technology wars. It was all put there by a confluence of collective paranoia. But we won't defeat feminism by attacking technology. We have to attack feminism and defeat it. We have to undo its influence over technology, and we have to undo its influence over geopolitics. And I suppose it would help if we could figure out what caused feminism in the first place. Pardon. Maybe it was communism, but then we'd have to figure out what caused communism. Maybe it was the French Revolution, but then we'd have to figure out what caused the French Revolution, and so on and so forth. We could very well find ourselves regressing all the way back to the dawn of man to try and find the bugs in our initial programming. And I'd like to think that's what we do here at Honey Badger Radio. We're looking for those bugs in the system, like, dare I say, logic and compassion. What? Yeah, no. It's the logic to notice that some people are weaker than others, and the compassion to help those who are weaker at the expense of those who are stronger. The question is, when has it gone too far? And the answer is when a weak woman is throwing the kitchen sink at a strong man. At that point, fuck the weak. The weak can eat my dick. The weak should lose their privileges. The weak should not get access to the kitchen sink. They should be chained to a rock and made to hack at another rock with a pickaxe. Or better yet, they should be ground down into mush and fed to pigs. As I said in a recent video, I don't care how weak you are. If you're going to be a piece of shit, we should treat you like a piece of shit. We should treat you like a pile of fertilizer. And unfortunately, plants don't grow from meat mulch. But pigs do. So, yeah, watch yourself, or you'll find yourself on the inside of several pigs. At least if I have my way. And mark my words, I will. I'm just going to keep repeating myself until I incantate it into being true. Mark my words, I will. All right, I'll stop.
The sad thing is, this actually goes back a very long time. Well, by a very long time, I mean the first codification of a system of law written by Anglo-Saxon kings before the year 1000 had a civil penalty if a man were found guilty of assaulting a woman. Not the other way around. Just if a man were found guilty of assaulting a woman. All right, that was clear back then. In the 17th century, it was pretty common for there to be a whipping post in the community in the United States. In Plymouth Bay, like the Plymouth Bay colony, and there wasn't a United States, but if a husband was found guilty of beating his wife, then he would get lashed to the post and whipped. But not the other way around. Right? Not if she was caught beating on him. Before the law handled these types of situations, the community handled them with violence, with community violence. In his report, Skimmington Revisited, M.J. George described a procedure, I guess you could say, a tradition where if the wife was abused by the husband, the community would pound down their door, and they would take him, put him on a donkey, ride him through the community backwards, and pelt him with rotten tomatoes and filth, poop, whatever they could find, hit him with sticks and stones and kitchen utensils, whatever they had on hand, and generally speaking, punish him for beating on his wife. However, if the woman was the abuser, then they would drag the man out of the house, put him on a donkey, ride him backwards through town, pelt him with tomatoes and other rotten foods, and bash him with items, and make fun of him for not being able to control his wife. So you see the symmetry there. Well, not really, right? No symmetry. Like feminists like to claim that there were no domestic violence, no anti-domestic violence laws until feminism came along in the 1960s and invented compassion for women. When in reality, it's been entrenched in law throughout the entire history of the existence of the United States, even going back to the colonial history, and well beyond that in Europe. It's normal, going back through history, for any level of authority to address this, whether it's your local government, your neighbors, your national government. Somebody did when the man was the perpetrator. When the woman was the perpetrator, it was assumed that the man wasn't doing his job. And it didn't matter if she was bigger and stronger. It didn't matter if she used weapons on him. It didn't matter if she henpecked him to death. It didn't matter if it was stuff that he wasn't allowed to control. If she did it to him, he wasn't doing his job. He should have whatever, right? The issue isn't just feminism. It goes well back beyond feminism. Feminism capitalized on it. For communists, they're very capitalistic. They want your money. They want every penny they can get, and they will get it any way they can. But gynocentrism, on the other hand, that's a little more insidious because it's not an ideology. It's not an ism in the way of feminism and things like that. It's more of an ism in the way of I don't know, a mental health condition, right? And it's never gone away. It's only gotten worse over time. It's been there probably throughout history, but the level of gynocentrism that we have today that has created this situation, that was kind of created by female French aristocrats during the 13th century. And they started demanding romance. They started demanding that chivalry become about women instead of being about how not to be a complete fucking asshole just because you have the best weapon and the best armor and the best transportation around, which would have been a horse, a sword, and any kind of metal armor, a suit of armor. And of course, as the centuries have gone past, women have taught their children this over time until it led to the crossing of communism, gynocentrism, and just all around dipshittery. And by the way, communism was started by dipshits. That's who started communism. And we got feminism. It's like communism's retarded little sister. No, mine. Ladies first. Ladies first. We're gonna all share equally, except my piece is bigger because I'm a girl and I need it, but I want it, even if I don't need it. And historical victimhood. So therefore, you got to give it to me. What do you end up with? You end up with a situation where, throughout the modern history of government response to female violence, we've known, by the way, for quite some time that there is symmetry in domestic violence. We've known for quite some time that most domestic violence is two-way, that 70% of what is not two-way is female perpetrated. And we've known that when it is two-way, that's associated with more frequent perpetration by women, not more frequent perpetration by men, meaning that the women are perpetrating more often. And that would indicate that there are instances in relationships where there's two-way violence, where she's engaging in violence, but he's not. And only sometimes is he engaging in violence, which would indicate that his violence is defensive, but he's only hitting back sometimes, where her violence is aggressive. And sometimes she's just not able to force him to defend himself. This is something that was kind of confirmed in a weird way. California passed a domestic violence law. Oh, let's see if I can find it. I want to say, examining the time frame between 1987 and 2000, researchers found that in California, enhanced arrest policies designed to increase law enforcement response to intimate partner violence caused the numbers of arrests. This was essentially policies that said you cannot ignore violence just because it's between intimate partners. Right? You have to make an arrest if somebody has violated, say, assault laws or any other type of similar laws to that. So they caused the number of arrests of men to increase by 37%, right? But the number of women arrested because their behavior violated the same laws, that increased 446% during the same time frame. Convictions for offense following domestic violence-related arrests grew 131% for men, 1,207% for females. And incarceration rates after arrest for domestic violence went up 156% for men, but 1,683% for females. So cops saw evidence far more frequently that women were perpetrating that would get away with it than men were perpetrating that they previously would have allowed to get away with it. Feminists responded by treating it as a backlash against women. They they treated it like, this was actually calling women self-defense, some sort of domestic violence. But during that same time frame, the homicide victimization rates from domestic partner homicide, intimate partner homicide, for males dropped 61%, while it only dropped 49% for females. So there was quite a big drop in males getting killed by their partners, which does indicate that the issue really was female violence. So what did feminists do when all that information came out? Well, they asked for primary aggressor policies, right? Primary aggressor policies are designed to make it damn near impossible to arrest a woman for domestic violence. If she attacks you and she injures herself trying to hurt you and fails, then that makes you the primary aggressor. One of the studies that I looked at, one of the reports that I looked at, described the case of a woman who was attempting to stab a guy, and he to stop her from stabbing him, he put his forearm up to block, and she brought her wrist down on his wrist, and since his wrist was bigger and heavier than hers, her wrist broke. And that primary aggressor policy would have gotten him arrested for breaking her wrist. And I actually saw that with a guy I used to hang out with up in Hancock County, Ohio, who was arrested for assault and convicted, by the way, of assault for stopping a woman's second attempt at stabbing him in the throat. She had a nice big heavily sharpened pencil and was just jabbing him with it, and she went for the jugular, and he sort of batted her away the first time. He batted her hand away, and she moved away, and when she came back at him the second time, she startled him, and he kind of rabbit punched her in the jaw. And the judge said that was too rough. Trying to stab him in the throat wasn't too rough. But him punching her in the jaw, just a little rabbit punch. He didn't sock her in the jaw, he didn't slug her, right? She didn't get bitch slapped. But that was too rough. And that's the problem that we have. It's not just the letter of the law, it's the attitude. The idea that there is no amount of wrong a woman can do to a man that can justify him doing something to defend himself that would be wrong if he wasn't trying to defend himself. Even though it would be acceptable if another man was doing it to him, that he would defend himself, or if he was doing it to her, that she could defend herself that way. Until that changes, until that attitude changes, until we get people to understand that female violence is dangerous, that women's actions do matter when they're not doing good just as much as when they are doing good, and that men have as much right to freedom from violent assault as women do, this kind of shit's going to continue, and it's going to be difficult every single time to get help for the man and to get accountability for the woman. It was a lot easier this time because it happened to be a famous incident. But guaranteed, if that guy had just been some guy living in a small town and his partner had, maybe the ear of the police, maybe the ear of the neighbors, maybe the ear of a judge, he would have been fucked. He would have lost custody of his kid and everything. And I can describe that happening to one of my friends as well. His ex-wife picked up a push lawnmower and threw it at him when she was angry. This woman was crazy. And the judge not only gave her custody of his kids, but kept him from seeing them for a long time. And it really, really did not do them any good. So I'm not surprised to see this. Women think they can get away with this shit. They think that they're invulnerable, and it needs to change. Violence matters no matter who is doing it, and it needs to be addressed every single time, no matter who is doing it.
All right. Well, I do have a super chat, or super chow rather. Let me just make sure that we didn't miss any other ones. No. I got one from Meredith G. Who gave us one right at the beginning of this story. HBR News number 545 for $5. Thank you. She says, "Honey for the Badgers, you what to know what really grinds my gears about the Bachelorette flameout. Taylor got to keep the kids. DCF did fuck all despite how violent she got, endangering her children with video evidence of said violence at the time of her arrest. It was only after the video got massive public attention that she lost any custody rights. I don't want to hear from any feminists about how unfair this woman was treated because some male athlete, once a charge is filed, professional athletes tend to lose their careers, so don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. The only good thing about the Bachelorette fiasco is that a woman is getting called out on her bullshit. See the Nerve coverage on this. By the way, to paraphrase Justified, never trust a woman with 3 first names."
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
That sentence was what, four
What?
words too long? With 3 first names? That's 4 words. Yeah, it was four words too long.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, yeah, thank you for the super chow, Meredith, and we're gonna move on to the next story. We got one more that's kind of like about abuse as well. We're gonna talk about Jerry O'Connell. Let me put this on the screen here. This one is it's also sad for different reasons. So last week, while on the Bill Maher's Club Random podcast, so Bill Maher has a podcast too, because all these people that were in Hollywood are not getting the views anymore because the young people are not watching TV, so they go on the internet and they start podcasts, and they have, let's say, they don't all turn out to be super huge, but anyway, Club Random. American actor and TV host Jerry O'Connell shared a shocking story about the night of the last presidential election in his household. O'Connell recounts the night as he casually watched the events of the election unfold while chatting with his wife and daughters. His wife, by the way, is Rebecca Romijn. If you guys don't know, Rebecca Romijn was in like the X-Men movies from back in the day. She was in the Punisher movie with Thomas Jane and a couple of other things. She was like a model that basically, she was married to John Stamos for a little while. And I guess they got divorced or something. I don't know, because I remember her name was Rebecca Romijn Stamos. It was hyphenated.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, didn't she play his wife?
What?
Didn't she play his wife, and then they got
John
together
Stamos' wife?
in something?
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, the last thing I remember John Stamos one was in Full House. But anyway,
yeah, that's it. I think.
Oh yeah, maybe she was. Yeah. Anyway, O'Connell is married to Rebecca Romijn now, age 53, and her twin daughters, Dolly Rebecca Rose and Charlie Tamara Tulip. Oh my God, Hollywood names, both of which are currently 17 years of age. O'Connell paused during his recounting of the night, stating, "If I say this, will I stay married?" Before continuing the story, I said something along the lines of, and I'll play the clip for you guys, so I'm going to leave that. Shortly after those words, O'Connell describes how he was seemingly attacked. He explains that his wife and two daughters became physical. They were filled with rage. He continues trying to give perspective. Letting the story out seems to have had further repercussions for O'Connell. The following day on X, O'Connell posted, "Okay, at Club Random was my last podcast. Can't do anything right. At X is mad at me. My family is mad at me. Even the New York Post is having a laugh. Only podcast I will ever do again is at Pardon My Take for Fantasy Preview, and we're drafting at JD." So let me just play the clip so you guys get the full context. This is O'Donnell on Bill Maher's show.
I'm going to tell you about a bit of, I say this, will I stay married? Blow it over here. My,
Sounds like you're going to blow it over here.
the night of the election, this third one,
Yeah.
third election. Everyone knows what I'm talking about here. I was watching late at night the returns, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't think Trump was going to win. I live in California. I didn't think he was going to win. From what I was hearing,
I didn't either.
I think he was going to win.
No,
This is where I live, you know?
Yeah.
I said something along the lines of like, there was no planning. This is what they get. There should have been a primary. I said something along those lines, you know? Like I was just spitballing ideas as to, it was a shock, you know? My wife and daughters, without saying anything, became physical with me. They were filled with rage. So if I am being careful with you in how I say things, yes, I live in California. I live with not one, not two, but three people who, if I made any kind of joke, they would, they become very angry with me, you know?
Well,
So
I don't want to tell you how to live your life, but I couldn't live that way. I would, whatever household or whatever situation I'm in, I say what I truly think, and if it makes you angry, I'm sorry. We'll have to work that out.
Well, it makes.
But I am not going to tuck my tail between my legs and just shut the fuck up. This is what you were dealing with when you were a child. Just sit there and don't say anything.
Yeah, but,
sit on your hands. But what happened to Rob Reiner? More of that, Jerry. More of that.
Yeah.
Where's Rob Reiner's ghost when you need him to be telling you more of that?
Yeah.
All right.
You can't.
Bill Maher makes
This-
light of it, but anyway,
This is
yeah,
the
I'll let you
thing.
guys.
That's why I said in the last bit that that sentence was four words too wrong. Never trust a woman. Right? Rebecca Romaine played this wholesome character, you know, that we grew up, or our kids grew up at least, watching that show. And I think that all the people on that show, except for I can't think of his name, the dad, sort of try to portray themselves as somewhat wholesome in real life. And if she behaved that way towards her husband, she's not wholesome. She's a fucking bitch. That's not wholesome. You can't get mad at your husband and treat him that way and be a wholesome, loving wife. There is no amount of mad I could get at my husband that would make me unable to control myself. I would not hit him. You know, not just because of the fact that he could break me like a twig, no matter how much I weigh, but just I wouldn't want to hurt someone I love. And I've been that mad at people that I loved and controlled myself. Bob Saget, thank you guys in the chat. 2 people said it before I saw it. But yeah, he's the only guy that didn't realize he was pretty upfront about not being wholesome. Not that he was a bad guy, he just wasn't. His jokes were not all family friendly. We'll just leave it at that. If you ever went and saw his stand up, it wasn't the same. But the thing is, I don't understand why we can't expect that of women, right? We expect that of men. Control yourself no matter how mad you get, right? You can burn down his whole life and he's not even allowed to say mean things about you, or you can be scared and ask for protection and so on. But you can be mad about one election of a president that's only going to be in office for 4 years after so many elections in your lifetime where maybe you didn't like who got elected, maybe you did, and the longest they can be in is 8 years total. And I don't understand. Liberal women do this. Republican women, we're not allowed to do that, right? And we have had people we didn't like in office, a couple times during my lifetime when it has been really bad that they were in there, right? Bill Clinton was in office. We got 3 of the biggest attacks in history, in the United States history, on due process. Obama was in office. We got the biggest attack in United States history on your freedom of medical choice and your freedom of choice in who you're going to do business with, or whether or not to do business with them. And we didn't throw temper tantrums. We didn't march in the streets. We didn't set buildings on fire. We didn't beat our husbands. None of that. But because Kamala Harris, who is a joke, the woman is a living joke. There's not a moment of that woman's life when she is not a joke. Now, historically, she has been something more than a joke. She's been a threat. She's never been anything good, but she's been a threat, right? She has attacked due process as well. She has fought to keep someone in jail and on death row, trying to keep exculpatory evidence from the court, so that guy would get killed by the state for something he didn't do. Knowingly, she did that. But her political career, her federal political career, is a joke. And her campaign was a joke. And these women are so mad that she didn't get elected that they engaged in violence against someone that they love. What the hell is wrong with women? Did people raise them to be adult children? Did they grow up
Yes,
without
I
dads?
think so.
Like, it's very frustrating. this is why I'm working on that stupid song. I have a song upcoming. I've been working on it. I'm gonna get Mike and Laura on it when Mike gets done with the stuff that he's working on now, and I get my voice back from the allergy monster. It is that time of the year. But the title is going to be Dipshit Epidemic, because we are in one, and it is bad. And I think when you look at women, you can see it better, unfortunately.
I feel like all I can do is reiterate what I've said in the last two stories. We don't have much time before this story of yours about the violent women in your life, Jerry, will be not just disbelieved, but rendered an impossibility. But yeah, no, this isn't even the stuff of the future or even the stuff of the present. This has been going on since before women could vote. This happens to align with the time before men could vote either. But it bears elaboration that despite certain stereotypes, women are more violent than men. What? Yes, there is a difference between violence and combat. Combat is very much a male domain. That's where people engage in conflict under strict rules, like no scratching, no hair pulling, no eye gouging, or any of that. They do so for the sake of resolving conflicts where no diplomatic option remains, or they do so just for the sake of sport or for enjoying the art of combat as like a hobby. Even little boys understand this. If a dispute becomes insurmountable, they punch each other in the torso for a few minutes, and then they make up and go back to being friends. This is combat. It is violence with rules. But women and girls do not subscribe to the rules. Women and girls are more prone to violence without the rules. It's just violence on its own. With them, it's not a sport, it's not a hobby, it's not a way of resolving tensions. It's something that emerges from the dark when you're not expecting it. It only resolves tensions insofar as it cuts down your enemy in one fell swoop. Case in point, a man expresses a political opinion, he expresses it as carefully and gingerly as possible, hoping to engage in nothing but a conversation, and even his closest female family members go, nope, claws out, teeth out, shoot to fucking kill. We are not having you saying things that might stand in the way of our regime, of our unassailable design for life. Now, I'm not sure if Jerry was being metaphorical when he said this. Did these women and girls actually engage in physical violence, or is he just poetically interpreting their abstract reactions as violence? Well, to use the kind of language we've learned to expect from feminists and other such female-coded leftists, apparently words count as violence. Right? Words that I don't like are a form of assault against me, and so I get to physically assault you, and that doesn't count as violence because I'm just reacting to your lexical attack. I'm just the oppressed lashing out against my oppressor. That sort of thing, right? I have to wonder if any of this relates to recent geopolitical developments. If, let's just say, if country A spends 47 years talking smack about country B, maybe it's reasonable for country B to go, all right, I've had enough of this. You keep talking the talk, and I just want to know. I just want to find out what happens if I walk the walk. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to walk up to you and give you a ruddy good punch up the bracket and see if you keep talking the talk after that. Would that be okay? Maybe, maybe not. But it's not a clear-cut case of the bully and the bullied. It's a case of someone fucking around and fucking around and fucking around until they inevitably find out. I have taken this fable to places with impossible nuance. It's up to you where you take it from. If you think I'm talking about a specific thing, I assure you I am not. I am talking about a bunch of things that overlap, and I reserve the poetic license to do so. Don't worry, I have indeed attained my license. Get off, leave me alone. I hereby slink away into the good night, having said nothing. Whoop, 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 whoop.
We got a super chat, and I'm gonna read it.
Yep, I got it. Let me read it.
Oh no, because I'm gonna answer it.
All right, but let me read it first.
Okay.
Senior Sticks gave us $2 and said, Kamala Harris is not a joke, as a joke is funny. Okay.
But Senior Sticks, have you forgotten the significance of the passage of time? I'm sorry, this woman was hilarious.
Mike, is country A very, very big country and country B a very, very small country?
That's the thing.
I can neither confirm nor deny this.
She was trying so hard to be serious. She was trying so hard to sound professional and vice presidential and all that shit. But she hired a third grade dropout to write her speeches. And you just can't do that.
Well, you just fall out of a coconut tree?
She couldn't keep track of what she was saying, so she would repeat herself a bunch of times, trying to catch her place again. Maybe she couldn't read the teleprompter all that well, who knows? But she was hilarious. She was absolutely hilarious. The Wicked Witch of the West cackle in the most serious of moments because she was too nervous to be out there. Like, that was hilarious. She just wasn't funny on purpose. And if she had tried to be, she would have failed at that too.
Okay. So I do want to say something about this Jerry O'Connell thing. I think that he's genuinely terrified of his living situation because he lives with three women who are his family. He is supposed to be essentially a father to his kids and a husband to his wife, but he lives in some degree of abject terror of them, probably having to walk on eggshells. And he's in a really bad situation because he wants to be, at the very least, he wants to be a father to his daughters. And he knows that if he does something like that his wife doesn't like, then she could basically divorce him and take the kids. And I think I'm not a father myself, but I know a lot of men who are fathers, and I think that to lose your children is absolutely devastating. Men will find no purpose in life if they lose their kids. So he's in a really bad place, and yeah. I have a lot of sympathy for that. He needs help, from somewhere. He needs to get it. Yes, those girls are crazy. I think the daughters were probably radicalized by their mom, and the media, of course, was a big part of that. But I don't think
if they're behaving that way, I can guarantee you that means they've seen her behave that way a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
She's normalized it for them.
For sure. And I think that, there's the crazy hot matrix. So I'm guessing that, when Rebecca Romijn was hot, when she was young, she probably got away with all kinds of misbehavior, which is why I think those women tend to be crazier, because they live in a world that is orders of magnitude beyond normal, non-accountability. If you're a normal girl, you're not accountable for a lot of shit. If you're an attractive girl, you're accountable for even less of that, orders of magnitude less of that. So, but setting aside what I think about Rebecca Romijn and her sisters, or her daughters, you guys already covered that. This guy is in a bad position, and I do not envy that at all, because he has to live with these people, and he can't. It's going to kill him on the inside to not be able to share what he believes. The fact that he was on a podcast and he was like, "Am I going to lose everything just for talking to you right now?" And then right after that, he had to go out and say, "I'm not doing podcasts anymore." the guy is in trouble. And I think that it would be we people in his circle should be reaching out to him and getting him support, because he's probably in a very, very abusive situation that people are not going to take seriously because he's a man. And like you can see that by the end of the video, Bill Maher's making jokes because he doesn't have to deal with that. But that just also shows that he's completely disconnected from that, because he's like, Bill Maher is one of these people that's going to die, and that's going to be the end of his legacy, because he doesn't want kids. He's not going to get married. So he's basically, his life is just that. That's it. There's nothing else. Okay. He's gone and nothing goes, he leaves nothing behind. People are not going to be talking about him like 10 years after he's gone. People aren't going to be talking about him. People like Jerry O'Connell are like most men. Most men want to have kids, and they want to leave something for their children. And they want to like leave a world knowing that their children and their children's children are going to go on, and they're going to like continue to build something, right? That he can like die in peace with satisfaction, right? So Bill Maher's not in a position to have an opinion on Jerry O'Connell's life, because he doesn't have that, which is why he can be so dismissive and sort of, I don't know, like laissez-faire about it. Like, well, I wouldn't have put up with that. And it's like, well, yeah, but you're not married to someone. Like if he put his foot down, he could get arrested. If he said, hey, you're not going to talk like that to me, he could get arrested. She could hit him, like break a nail, and call the police and say that he did that to her. Like he's not in a good place. And so, people like Bill Maher, I mean, not that I don't have much respect for him, but I'm just saying, like, these are people who are in a position where they could actually start a conversation about things that should be changed. Like, well, that shouldn't happen. We should be like, what's going on with the laws? What's going on with policy? What's going on with this? But he's not going to do that, because it's like, well, it's not me. This is like this kind of like, hyper individualistic thinking. But I'm just saying that I think that what's happening with Jerry O'Connell's a lot more serious than anyone in his circles are going to like see, because they just see like, oh, your wife got mad. Wow, that's whew. She was probably a real firecracker. Like, God knows what's going on there. We just saw what happened with the Bachelorette. It's not like these women are like completely like, I don't know, like unicorns. Like, they're probably very common, and we can't see them as agents. We just can't. And we can't see him as a victim. He's probably in a hellish circumstance. And I wish that on no one. And I hope that he gets some help. Like, I mean, seriously, if there was a way, like he should go reach out to Harry Crouch or something, like NCFM, like they can look into it or something, because he's screwed. I mean, he's screwed. The Duluth model is not his friend. But anyway, so that's all I wanted to say. I just think that Jerry O'Connell's in a bad place. Let me know what you guys think about this one in the comments. And I think we're going to go into the patron show now, and we're going to look at this article from The Wrap, where we're going to continue the conversation about why are we giving these guys their jobs back? We already replaced them with women. And also, I want to say that I've noticed that, I've been saying since Gamergate happened, and I saw people were getting fired from, game studios, and then Me Too happened, and a bunch of people were getting fired from Hollywood and stuff like that. And I was like, I think this is in the animation industry thing. When I looked into that and I talked to Luke and stuff, that was when it really clicked that this is a power play, that there were activist groups, feminist groups specifically, that were using allegations to destroy the lives of men and replace those positions. And they were always the good positions, the really comfortable and wealthy positions, the powerful positions, with women. And I said that was what was going on in Hollywood. That's why our movies have been shit, because they've been giving the jobs to undeserving women for the most part. And other people are catching on to this now. Like, they're talking, I'm not saying that I put the idea in their head, but I'm just saying we were talking about this a long time ago, like 10 years ago. And now people like, side scrollers and other sort of Gamergate outlets are like, I think that was a power play. I think they were just, I think something fishy was going on, And the reason why we were able to see it first is because we were able to see women as capable of this kind of like deceitful, manipulative, and often evil behavior. And it's like when you can see that that's possible, then like you can make predictions like that. You can prepare for these kinds of things. So, and unfortunately, most people are lagging behind in that department. All right. So anyway, I did get some super chows and super chats. So let's take a look at those. All right. Betty Adams, thank you, Betty, gives us $5 and says, the grand problem is that of unselfishness. Note once again the admirable work of our philological arm in substituting the negative unselfishness for the enemy's positive charity. Thanks to this, you can, from the very outset, teach a man to surrender benefits, not that others may be happy in having them, but that he may be unselfish in forgoing them. That is a great point gained. Another great help where the parties concerned are male and female is the divergence of view about unselfishness which we have built up between the sexes. A woman means by unselfishness chiefly taking trouble for others. A man means not giving trouble to others. As a result, a woman who is quite far gone in the enemy's service will make a nuisance of herself on a larger scale than any man's except those from whom our father has dominated completely. And conversely, a man will live long enough in the enemy's camp before he undertakes as much spontaneous work to please others as a quite ordinary woman may do every day. Thus, while the woman thinks of doing good offices and the man of respecting other people's rights, each sex, without any obvious unreason, can and does regard the other as radically selfish. C.S. Lewis on female versus male perspective. Yeah, he was a really smart guy, and that was quite astute. Senior Sticks gives us $2 and says he won't lose his children, just gain a guy pad. He might lose his children. I mean, it's California too. Think about that. What are their divorce laws?
Because he's in a state that is really terrible to men when it comes to custody.
Mm-hmm.
Be more like Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris doesn't lose his children lose him. Wait, that doesn't work.
No, that doesn't work. We are all his children. Zeranx gives us $5 and says, interesting that Mayer mentioned Rob Reiner given what happened to him. I think he was talking about standing up to people more than anything, but it wasn't really that useful. I think that confession made Bill Maher uncomfortable because he was talking about something that Bill Maher can't understand, which is like he is a husband and father, and he can't really, like, he probably wanted that and he probably can't get out of it. You know, he's not like born like with the MGTOW bug. He's just like, he's in this position because he thought it was what he wanted, and it probably still is what he wanted. I'm sure that he would do anything for his kids, but he's also in a bad situation. So I don't think Bill Maher could relate, and I think he tried to pivot to something a little bit, like, say, lighter, so that he wouldn't have to like actually talk about that. And I wonder if I wonder if the guy, I forget his name already, but the guy we're talking about, O'Connell, I wonder if he was actually kind of like crying for help a little bit by making that statement. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
Bill Maher is a testament to how MGTOW doesn't always work. Because Bill Maher, by all accounts, is like, he's not interested in getting married or having children or following any religion or any of this. He's very much out there as the atomized individual, and you know, it's in his case it hasn't really worked. He hasn't been Me Too, has he? He's a broken clock that's right twice a day. He's
True.
You know, he's that sort of thing.
But has he been Me Too'd?
It's a matter of time.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, not yet. Not yet. No.
That is one thing. He wasn't in the first round. He wasn't in the second round. Like, we're in the umpteenth round now, and it still hasn't happened to him. Eventually, it'll happen to every famous guy out there. You know, somebody will want his position, or somebody will want something that they can't just get honestly, and they can trample him to get it, and that's when it'll happen. But it's a lot harder to do it to him than it is to do it to a gynocentric guy.
Mm-hmm.
Or a simp.
Well, okay. So anyway, We're going to go into the patron show now and continue this conversation and others. So if you guys want to join us for that, you have to go to feedthebadger.com/subscribe. $5 a month will get you into the Discord server where you'll be able to watch all the additional content. And if you give it higher levels, you'll be able to join in the conversations. And I hope that we will see you guys there. Again, if you want to send us a message after the show, just send it to feedthebadger.com/justthetip, and we'll read it on the very next show, which should be tomorrow. I think Alice and I are going to be talking a little bit more about the fallout of Inside the Manosphere, because there was a lot of fallout. The reaction videos are probably going to be content forever. So, but yeah, join us for this one in the patron show. Hopefully I'll see you guys there. Thank you to Hannah and Mike for your very thoughtful and erudite commentary. And thank you guys for joining us on the show. And thanks to Mike J for helping me with the write-ups. It does make my burden a little bit lighter. So with all that said, if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment, let us know what you guys think about what we talked about on the show today. And please, please, please share this video because sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of HBR News, and we will talk to you all in the next one. See you next Tuesday.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.